All right, welcome back from the break. It is 26 minutes to the top of the hour. We're still with the third hour of the show and clearly moving forward more and more as details are coming up. Well, for all of you that's just joining in, this is Smart Means Business. We are happening every Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. We are driving business 24/7. We're making air in the month of July, and surely you can be part of that particular celebrations, like I normally say, by as well telling us the date that we started of this. We are making 1 year of breakfast television, and I'm telling you, it's the biggest key discussion around there. Well, with me here now, I have the East African, and the East African is clearly about giving you more from the press review. A lot is also coming in from here, as East African has a huge headline about the Commonwealth that ended in Rwanda, as a lot of discussions and a lot of business opportunities may rise from the CHOGM 2022, according to the East African community, according to the East African here, East African newspaper. Well, besides that, by the way, before we even go beyond what has actually been a fruitful weekend in terms of business, a lot of challenges are being faced by people from various sectors, more so from the micro, small and medium-sized enterprises. And if you're to break down most of these challenges that most of these businesses are facing, I've mentioned the issue of the cost of production. Since January, I should say, when the economy was reopened, the cost of production has been very high for most of the business people in Uganda, as not everyone can manage to maintain this particular cost of business. It is becoming unbearable for the business community in Uganda. And when you look at the rise of prices, the surging rise of prices in the country, which has actually made it even worse for every other person who is actually trading in Uganda. It is the same situation as to why today the key discussion on the United Nations International Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Day is that they're going to be looking at the post-COVID-19 recovery. The opportunities are there, by the way, if you're to look at that. With the opportunities being there, it is that they are giving a chance for people to at least give out their views and their opinions on the challenges that these businesses are facing, people from these sectors. I think this is a sector that employs, like I said, almost 70% of the Ugandans are under the small and medium-sized enterprises. And with that, you have to understand that the challenges that they are facing can definitely play a huge impact on the economy, or play a very huge impact in delaying the development of the economy and delaying the development of the financial year 2022-2023, to see that certain things are happening. Well, when the government is actually looking at the fact that this is going to be a pro-people budget in terms of the financial year 2022-2023, we can still look at these challenges as things that are supposed to be looked at, or we need to look for solutions that are going to help us walk the talk or walk the journey of business recovery. But before we even conclude with the topic of this and going back to what is happening from there, let's first have a look at the Djibouti Doral port, which is actually a port that is managing different exports and imports of African countries, more so when it comes to the free trade zone area in the African market. This port has actually been put in place by the Djibouti government. Developments around the Dorali port is to see that there will be a possible recovery of business and seeing the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area. And this port is looked at as the opportunity to manage a large number of imports and exports around the Horn of Africa. Let's have a look at this. I'll be right back.
All the boards, there's all the boards. You see, historical boards. It's a four now here. And the two in district.
At the confluence of the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean, the port links to both Addis Ababa, Djibouti Railway, the largest Chinese-financed infrastructure project in East Africa. A new international established by the consortium of Chinese investors headed by the China Merchants Group. China Merchants Group investment in the port is the foundation of its broader strategy to transform Djibouti into an international free trade zone. The $590 million Dorare multipurpose port project started in 2015 and was jointly financed by Djibouti Ports and the Free Zones Authority. The bulk terminal of the Dorale port can handle 2 million tons of cargo a year and offers space to 100,000 tons of fertilizer, grains and warehouses for other goods. The break bulk terminal can also handle 6 million tons.
I mean here, 1, 2, 3, and all the boats. All the boats, there's all the boats. You see, historical boats. It's a 4 now here. And the 2 in district.
At the confluence of the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean, the port links to both Addis Ababa, Djibouti Railway, the largest Chinese-financed infrastructure project in East Africa. A new international established by the consortium of Chinese investors headed by the China Merchants Group. China Merchants Group investment in the port is the foundation of its broader strategy to transform Djibouti into an international free trade zone.
All right, now the opportunities of transforming Djibouti into an international free trade zone are at the hands of the Dorale port. And that port is actually being looked at as the port that will handle most of the different, pretty much I should say, handling the imports and exports of the East African community countries, because at least when it comes to the strategic perspective or point of view, they are more strategically located than any other in that regard. Well, still, as a matter of fact, if you're to continuously look at the situations and the details as things are happening, looking at more from a vast picture, is that probably the African Continental Free Trade Area can only be boosted when the imports and exports are in that particular regard. All right, now at this particular moment, we're heading into our live broadcast of the United Nations International Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprise Day. Today, as they're looking at unlocking the potential of the micro, small and medium-sized enterprises and also paving a way for post-COVID-19 recovery. Thank you very much. I'll be back again tomorrow morning.
But she is taken up by other duties. And I'm going to read her message verbatim. So allow me, with that introduction, read the statement of the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives at the commemoration of the 5th UN MSME Day, today 27th June 2022. The Honorable Ministers present, the Honorable Members of Parliament present, the representative of USAID, the resident representative of UNDP, the Chief of Party, Feed the Future and Institutional Strengthening Activity, the Permanent Secretaries and senior government officials present, the head of public and private sector organizations, ladies and gentlemen, it's with delight that I make these remarks at this commemoration of the United Nations International Day for MSMEs. I'm happy that you are joining with the various partners to showcase for the sector. Ladies and gentlemen, the 74th plenary of the United Nations General Assembly on April 6, 2017, adopted the resolution to observe June 27th as the Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Day, or SMSE Day. The idea behind the resolution was that MSMEs play a very crucial role in helping to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, and in particular, promoting innovation, creativity, and decent work for all. MSME Day is expected to shine the focus on SMEs and their contributions to the global economy. This year's theme, ladies and gentlemen, at the United Nations is Resilience and Rebuilding, MSME for Sustainable Development. This is intended to showcase how MSMEs can contribute to sustainable development and be at the forefront of building back better and stronger from the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, climate crisis, and conflicts. The COVID-19 crisis has taught us that the pandemic and containment measures do not impact everyone in the same way. Among the private sector, micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, especially those led by women and youth, suffered most. An International Trade Center survey on COVID-19 impact among businesses in 136 countries has shown that nearly 62% of women-led small businesses have been strongly affected by the crisis, compared to just over half of firms led by men, and women-owned are 27% more likely not to survive the pandemic. The world again finds itself in a flux, this time not so much because of a pandemic, but largely due to the tectonic shifts in economic conditions. The Russia-Ukraine conflict, supply chain disruptions, inflation, easing commodity prices, and food shortages threatened to derail a nascent global recovery. The annual inflation rate in Uganda climbed from 6.3% in May 2022 from 4.9% in the prior month, reaching its highest point since June 2017. Main upward pressure came from prices of food and non-alcoholic beverages, 11% versus 6.9% in April, of which vegetables, furnishings 17.3% versus 16.5%, and transport 4.4% versus 2.3%. On a monthly basis, consumer prices inched up by 1.5%, the biggest increase since September 2015. This therefore affects the economic recovery process within which the MSMEs operate. Ladies and gentlemen, rising interest rates that are meant to tame rapid inflation are raising borrowing costs for businesses, but disproportionately more so for MSMEs. These developments will slow economic growth and could lead to higher unemployment levels. At the national level, ladies and gentlemen, the theme for today is unlocking the potential of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises for post-COVID-19 recovery. And this theme is focusing on unlocking potential of SMEs that will lead to full recovery of the economy. This requires us to recognize the resilience and put efforts on rebuilding SMEs for sustainable development at the forefront of building better and stronger MSMEs from the pandemic and other crises that arise. We are also joining partners around the world to raise awareness of the increased need of support for MSMEs at a time of the triple threat of COVID-19, conflict, and climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, I honor the entrepreneurs in our country who have kept the economy moving even with the various challenges and constraints that have arisen amidst the COVID-19. You know that there have been increasing fuel prices that has led to increasing prices of other commodities. The international shocks also affect operations of MSMEs. Unlocking the potential of MSMEs requires building resilience. Resilient MSMEs and social entrepreneurship can also contribute to inclusive growth, combating inequalities and building back better and stronger MSMEs. This will further enhance securing a better future of work of everyone and sustainable development of the economy. Ugandan startups are part of the solution to the pandemic. Startups in Uganda are developing innovative online services to help consumers and businesses survive during the COVID-19 pandemic. A few innovative enterprises are doing their best to turn the crisis into an opportunity, not only to keep afloat, but also to help consumers and other businesses ride out the pandemic. These interventions include e-commerce startups, which have added cashless features to reduce customers' risks, among others. Ladies and gentlemen, MSMEs are highly heterogeneous, meaning that the key risks they face, the way in which they function, and what they need are distinctly different. The effective disaggregation and segmentation of MSMEs is therefore crucial to building the understanding required to design tailored interventions that are effective in building the MSMEs' resilience. The government support package have played a major role in cushioning the blow created by the COVID-19 pandemic containment measures. Some packages are continuing to be implemented. I hope we should be able to reactivate the MSMEs to grow and contribute to the national economy and employment creation. To enhance these interventions, we need to go beyond recovery and consider ways in which to lower and eliminate barriers faced by the MSMEs through improving the business environment, access to finance, markets, and appropriate technologies for enterprises. Building greater resilience for MSMEs naturally starts with building an understanding of their major risks and realities so that opportunities for building greater resilience can be identified in consideration of their target markets. To make MSMEs resilient, ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate this year's MSMEs Day, can we focus on women, youth, digital and green initiatives? These are the key to unlocking the potential and lead to inclusive and sustainable MSMEs. I call upon all partners to focus on this as we innovate stimulus packages, not only for recovery, but also for creating resilience and unlocking full potential of sustainable SMEs that will withstand future shocks. I reiterate my ministry's commitment to organize the MSMEs and create a favorable environment for their operations to unlock the potential for wealth creation, industrialization, and economic transformation. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for God and my country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Andima, for those wise words from our PS. A quick reminder that we are streaming live thanks to Smart 24 TV. So all our online audience, thank you for joining us. As we continue, allow me to take this opportunity to call part of our supporters and sponsors for this event. From USAID, the Chief of Party from Feed the Future and Uganda Institutional Strengthening Activity, Mr. Anthony Nyungu. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. Honorable ministers present here, honorable members of parliament, heads of diplomatic missions, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Anthony Nyungu, and I'm the Chief of Party for the USAID-funded Feed the Future Uganda Institutional and Systems Strengthening Activity. And together with me here are a number of my other team members. Could you please stand up for recognition? Right here, Christabel and a couple of colleagues at the back end that are supporting our operations. The Feed the Future Institutional and System Strengthening Activity is one of the US government-funded initiatives through the United States Agency for International Development. And our mandate specifically is to work with the actors at the national level in the agriculture sector to enable a more inclusive development. And this includes the government ministries, departments and agencies, and also the industry, apex organizations. We do intervene to partner and collaborate with these actors to contribute towards strengthening of the institutional capacities for more effective service delivery, to enable a more conducive operating policy environment, but also most importantly, strengthen mechanisms for collaboration so that the various actors work together in a more harmonious way. Specific to this day, ladies and gentlemen, is that majority of our micro, small and medium enterprises do face common challenges. And these common challenges require us to work together in a more coordinated manner so that we do understand the needs and address them holistically. We will continue to work with the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, and the various industry apex organizations to strengthen them to take opportunity of the forum that the Honorable Minister shall be launching today. It shouldn't just stop at the launch, but we should walk the talk so that a couple of years from today, we come here to rejoice on some of the fruits that have come through as a result of us working together. I'll keep it to that for now, but continue to commit my team on delivering on the mandate that has been entrusted with us to ensure that we do make a contribution. Honorable Minister, I would want to take this opportunity to thank you very much for the support that we are receiving from your team at the ministry towards implementation of this activity, and look forward to the same as we evolve with the implementation, together in partnership with other actors that we are working with. I thank you very much and wish all of us a very fruitful day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nyungu. Allow me also take this opportunity to welcome the arrival of our Minister of State for Trade Industry, Honorable David Bahati. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And now I would like to invite Her Excellency Elsie Atafwa, who is the UNDP representative in Uganda. I do hope I've said the name right. Your Excellency, please come and give your remarks. Thank you. Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
Thank you.
You've won yourself a trip to Ghana. The Minister of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, Honorable Francis Mwebeza, represented here by Honorable David Bahati, Minister for State for Industry, Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, and my very good brother and friend. I don't know whether the Executive Director of KCC has arrived, but if she is, I would like to recognize her as well. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, Ms. Geraldine Sally, represented by the Undersecretary, Mr. Andima, the representative of the Uganda Investment Authority, representative from the Ugandan National Bureau of Statistics, the Chief of Party, Feed the Future Uganda Institutional and Systems Strengthening Activity, Mr. Anthony Nyungu. I hope I got the name right. All right. Development partners, members of the diplomatic corps who are here, colleagues from the United Nations family, private sector, civil society, media. Let me simply say, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Are you all with me? I saw Anna Bahati, I trained as a teacher as well. I saw people were distracted when we came in on their phones. So we are here for a meeting, so please let's be together. I'm delighted to join you this morning to commemorate the Micro, Small and Medium Scale Enterprises MSME Day. I thank you, Honorable Mwebeza, Honorable Bahati, and your teams in the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives for inviting us, the United Nations Development Program, and by extension, the United Nations family, to be part of this conversation on how we collectively unlock the potential of MSMEs for post-COVID recovery and also, importantly, resilience building for our economy. Honorable Minister, distinguished guests, MSMEs constitute the backbone of the global economy, accounting for 2/3 of employment globally and between 80% and 90% of employment in low-income countries. As you may already be aware, and I think the previous speakers alluded to this, MSMEs are a driving force for Uganda's economy, accounting for 90% of Uganda's private sector, employing over 2.5 million people, and contributing about 20% of Uganda's gross domestic product. MSMEs, therefore, touch the lives of everyone in our beloved country. Whether it is the boutique designing a new dress, the factory on the city's outskirts, the farmer in the countryside, or the neighborhood kaduka delivering groceries at the 11th hour, this is the MSMEs we are talking about. As such, the United Nations General Assembly adopted 27 June as MSME Day to raise awareness of the contribution that small businesses make to sustainable, inclusive, and resilient economic growth, creation of decent jobs, poverty eradication, and reduce inequalities. And I think the moderator said earlier on that if every MSME could employ 4 people, the unemployment challenge will be addressed in our beloved country. We also know that the COVID-19 has had a devastating and well-documented impact on the health, businesses, and livelihoods. MSMEs, especially those operated by women and youth, were severely affected by the pandemic and the subsequent containment measures, registering a significant reduced aggregate demand, lower revenues, severe supply chain disruptions, and cash flow shortages. The focus of this year's celebrations is therefore very fitting. MSMEs, if supported, can power a stronger recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic due to their innovative and opportunity-seeking nature. Their size also allow them to easily adapt to challenging new environments, such as the one created by COVID-19. And Honorable Bahati, we are not only talking COVID-19 now. I think the previous speaker also talked about the crisis in further countries, as we know, which is also impacting on our region. And I think we need to rethink again how we are going to do business differently when it comes to our work with the private sector. Now, despite the challenges faced, MSMEs demonstrated extraordinary resilience and adaptability in responding to the pandemic through a fundamental shift in how they operate. Many enterprises have pivoted their business processes, whether adapting to modern financial products, managing liquidity, or digitalizing their operations. And I think whilst COVID has been very devastating, one of the things that we have also seen is how many businesses now went online and are doing pretty well as a result. Therefore, the pandemic has in many ways been a catalyst for innovation and entrepreneurship in Uganda, encouraging MSMEs to design and incubate new technologies and business models. Honorable Bahati, distinguished guests, MSMEs do not operate in a vacuum. The government of Uganda, development partners, and financial institutions, amongst many, all have a critical role in shaping the MSME ecosystem. Collectively, we can and must do much to unlock the potential of MSMEs within the country's ongoing recovery efforts and overall resilience building, as I said earlier on, against crises and shocks. Friends, today it's COVID, tomorrow it's climate, then it's conflict, and we are seeing that all around us. So we need to begin to reflect more on the opportunities and how we can ensure that our MSMEs are robust and strong to adapt. So as various stakeholders involved in this business and supporting Uganda's development journey, we have a role to play as enablers of MSME growth and as providers of targeted capacity building support, technical support, financial support, institutional support to them. And Honorable Bahati, permit me to highlight a few things that we can do together collectively. First of all, we can collectively enhance the national entrepreneurial culture by promoting programs that prioritize MSMEs as preferred suppliers. And this is very important. For us as in UNDP, in partnership with Stanbic Holdings Uganda, we developed during the COVID time, as part of our response, what we call the Youth for Business Innovation and Entrepreneurship Facility, which is a financing instrument to leverage the innovative and entrepreneurial spirit of young men and women in Uganda for impact-driven entrepreneurship. And we were honored and humbled that this initiative was launched by His Excellency, the President, in August 2020. The facility has demonstrated enormous potential to unearth, catalyze, nurture, and transform early-stage creative ideas and innovations into sustainable businesses. For example, one of our grantees, Ecoplaster Limited, a waste management, manufacturing, and construction social enterprise owned by Frank Kamugisha, a Ugandan youth, was, with UNDP support, able to commercialize an environmentally friendly, innovative solution, Waxy 2 technology, and profit from the lucrative markets. The commercialization of this innovation has created over 150 direct employment opportunities for marginalized youth and women, and livelihood opportunities for nearly 1,000 young people in Kampala involved in the collection, sorting, and clearing of plastic waste for resale into Ecoplastyle. Today, we know that Uganda Development Bank is now considering supporting the scale-up of this business and many other businesses that we have supported. So in many ways, we need to support collectively, look at the national entrepreneurial culture by promoting programs that will further the goals around MSME support. The second one that we collectively need to work on is to ensure entrepreneurs are enabled to get back on their feet through sector-specific interventions. For example, in partnership with BRAC Uganda, UNDP has equipped over 7,500 micro enterprises across the country with skills and resources needed to recover from the pandemic, reimagine their business models, and build resilience again to shocks. This has led to increased business continuity for these youth-owned enterprises and strengthening their livelihood security as well as that of their families. And we can do more. This is just one example that I'm putting forward. Honorable Bahati, I hope you can join us, visit some of these young businesses as part of the industrialization agenda and the trade and the cooperative agenda that you are leading with the ministry. The third thing that we need to all rally around is to encourage research and development. Research and development, and help entrepreneurs turn their ideas into products and services. Honorable Bahati, I think a few months ago, we launched a call for proposal for ideas under what we call the Youth Ideathon. We had 4,800 young people who came up with ideas. So the ideas are there, but how do we move forward with those ideas through research and development? So we have partnered, for example, with new 50 youth-owned enterprises, again, to pilot and scale up some of these ideas across board. And today I can also say we are venturing into a new area of work, Honorable Bahati. Last week I met with the Vice Chancellor of Makerere University, and what we are trying to do through an initiative that UNDP is leading in Africa, Africa and Uganda specifically, is called the Timbuktu Initiative. As you know, those who know the town of Timbuktu in Mali, where the first university was in the region. We are partnering with Makerere to establish what we are calling an innovation port, fully equipped with the state-of-the-art equipment to tap into research and knowledge that is already in place and to be able to support the entrepreneurial ideathon innovation across board. And as I believe we get a lot of university students out of, they graduate every year. I don't know what the numbers are. I understand about 40,000 in a year. So if we have 40,000 people out of universities a year, some of them may never find jobs. And therefore, we need to inculcate before they come out of the university that sort of entrepreneurial spirit as well. The fourth thing that I wanted to also highlight is how we facilitate new technologies to enhance MSMEs' reach and be efficient in many ways and lower their costs. I think the future of work, as you know, Honorable Bahati and distinguished guests, the future of work is also going to be in technology. Last 2 weeks I have been reading very passionately myself, educating myself on new areas of work where e-commerce would be. And one of them is the metaverse. And I was asking myself, what is this metaverse? And I've been reading about metaverse. And what is interesting is that there is already a shift in e-commerce in that space, whether you're buying virtual products or you're buying physical products. And McKinsey has done a study saying by 2030, about $150 trillion will be traded in the metaverse. Where are the Africans in the picture? Where are the Ugandans in the picture? So here again, if we don't prepare our people to be techie savvy, to look into virtual realities and the new ways of doing business now, we will be left behind. And therefore, one of the things that we did during the pandemic period is to test some of these ideas. We partnered with Jumia as UNDP, and we said, can you get the market women and men to sell on your platform, to sell the matoke, to sell the pepper, to sell the onions, Initially, it was a business model that did not really accommodate that. But with a lot of discussions, conversations, incentive, partnership, today we have over 4,000 informal market vendors from 7 markets across Kampala who are able to sell their product online as a result of that intervention. And we are seeing a number of countries in the region, whether it's Ghana, Nigeria, Namibia, even Kenya, also modeling their support to SMEs as a result of the example that we're able to push forward here in Uganda. And so we believe that digital solutions are crucial for inclusion, can trigger trade, and can bring us a step closer to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly goal number 8 on decent work and economic growth. But importantly here, when we talk about the Sustainable Development Goals, we need to contextualize that within our Vision 2040, our 3rd National Development Plan, and also by extension, our Parish Development Model. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about, Honorable Bahati, is our support to SMEs to access new markets and consumers. And I think you have been part of that conversation that the ministry has been leading, especially on the Africa Free Continental Trade Area Agreement, where we have supported a number of business membership organizations, whether it's the Federation for Small Medium Enterprises, Private Sector Foundation, Uganda Chamber of Commerce, Uganda Manufacturing Association, UZIA, and others. Through this partnership, we are trying to position and prepare MSMEs in Uganda to partake on the wealth in the continent. And I know that there's been opportunities now, a number of trips have been made. I think it has started with DRC Congo, where I think the private sector has identified niche areas such as coffee, beef, fish, amongst others. But Honorable Bahati, before you came, I'm a very practical person. I was sitting with one of the ministry colleagues and I said, but how can we support MSMEs to assess the Africa Free Trade Continental Area when we still don't have a strategy? It's taken now over a year, and I think we need to get going on that collectively under the ministry's leadership. And I worry that some of these important conversations that are happening, if we don't move fast, other countries will position themselves, and then we'll be coming at the tail end when the deals have been struck already. And I think in my own personal, I would say enthusiasm to get things moving, I said, okay, let's not wait for the big English of strategy. I said to myself, I'm sending a bunch of market women from Uganda to Accra. And I called my colleague on Sunday here in Accra, the representative in Ghana. I said, I'm sending a bunch of Ugandan traders, let them come to Makola, let them strike a deal, let the Makola women come here and strike a deal, and let's do AFCTA from a practical point of view if the strategy is delaying. So I do hope that with your leadership we can get going, because we need to move from the rhetoric now to action. We have a lot of young women and men and businesses that really need to take advantage of these markets. So, Honorable Minister, distinguished guests, as I conclude, let me say MSMEs are the lifeblood of Uganda and must be at the front and center of our COVID response and our recovery strategies and our resilience building strategies. Supporting entrepreneurs and small businesses to thrive is essential to spurring innovation and creativity, creating jobs of the future, and boosting our economy. And I think that when His Excellency tells us that we should not only work for the stomach but for the pocket, this is the space where we have to intervene collectively. And whilst the pandemic has challenged us in negative terms, it has also provided an opportunity for us to do business differently. And Honorable Bahati, I know we are not talking about the conflict in the further countries, but I asked myself, how is it that 90% of African countries are importing wheat from elsewhere but from Africa? Couldn't we have provided that sort of, couldn't we have done some farming here, get our young men and women in the farming sector and retain the wealth that we are exporting to other places? How do we position as MSMEs now to move forward? So I think in many ways, the crisis in the world today, whether it's the climate crisis, whether it's the conflict crisis, whether it's the COVID crisis, is telling us a story. And the opportunities that we are beginning to see is one that we need to take advantage of. As we embark on the path to economic recovery, I call upon each one of us here today to ensure that we play our role in empowering MSMEs to drive a fast, equitable, and sustainable post-COVID recovery. I reiterate my appreciation to the government of Uganda and to you all for making the time to commemorate this day. And as I understand from ministry colleagues, this is the first time we are doing this, and maybe, Honorable, for your kind consideration, next time we could go out there in the field and do some practical work and connect businesses to businesses so that we make sure that we can live the aspiration that we are all aspiring for. So thank you once again, and I wish us all very successful deliberations.
Another round of applause for Your Excellency, Elsie Atafua. Thank you so much, and I will cash in on that invite to Accra for sure. So let me quickly mention, and I would like to just say this, both from the remarks from Her Excellency and even from remarks from the Permanent Secretary, there was a request and a direct focus for all MSMEs to sort of focus on women. And I might say this, even just from looking at the exhibitors at the back, I think 70%, if not 90% are women. Am I right? Anyway, yes, I think so. I'm looking to see, I don't see it. Anyway, I want to thank the exhibitors who are here, Linda Crafts, Wau, Sigel, Horns, and Processing, Bella Wines, Creative Women's Development, Chinawataka Women, Mormay General, and Oils of Hope, Foragiamento Enterprises, I hope I've pronounced that right, and Country Shoes. All of you, thank you so much for being here and continuing and staying afloat despite the pandemic. I'd also like to quickly recognize the chairman of the Indian Association of Uganda, Mr. Rajesh Kumar. I don't know where you are. Oh, there you are, thank you. Indian President's Forum, Secretary General, thank you very much. And also the director of the Uganda Investment Authority, Mr. Angelo Izam. Thank you for being here today. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me put your hands together for our chief guest, the Minister of State for Trade, Mr. Honorable David Bahati, to please come and give his remarks and launch the MSME Forum in Uganda. Your microphone. Okay.
Thank you. The country rep, UNDP, our sister, we first of all want to thank you for the passionate speech that you gave, but also for your dedication and support you give us, especially to support small and medium enterprises. I can probably say, ladies and gentlemen, because the country rep went through the protocols. First, I want to thank you, UNDP, and all our partners, you said, who continue to support us as we try to support the small medium enterprises. I hope that at one stage, we shall not remain small, we shall grow to become big. The secretary of the Indian Business Association, I've also seen our representative from the ministry representing the PS and the commissioners who are here, and all the EDs and CEOs of the small and medium enterprises. Good morning. My sister I want to excuse myself. It's not because I fear COVID so much, but I also have a problem with my sight. My doctor tells me that I'm very sensitive to color, and if I'm not near yellow color, I have a problem. That's the reason why I had to. That's the reason why I had to be near the yellow microphone. So it's not that I'm fearing that you have talked on this one, but it's because of that very simple reason. I hope you'll bear with me. Now, I want to welcome you to this celebration of the International Day of Small Medium Enterprise. And on this day, we want to reiterate our commitment to supporting the small and medium enterprises to grow their resilience and resistance to the shocks that we are experiencing, especially COVID and also the war that is affecting all of us as a world. And also to use this opportunity to tell you what opportunities are there from government, what government is doing to support you, but at the same time, use this opportunity and this day to listen to what you think government can do to create a better environment for you to grow. Now, on the side of government, we are putting in place a fund, small medium enterprise fund, in different banks of around 100, it's a matching grant of 100 billion, and the banks will put 100 billion, so that small medium enterprise can go and borrow at a small interest rate of 10%. Because we know the challenge that we are facing among many, one is the cost of money. So to resolve that, we have put a fund in the banks, commercial banks, so that you can go and borrow at 10% instead of borrowing at their rate of 24%. So I hope you small medium enterprises, you are taking advantage of this. I know that there have been some challenges of access, but I hope that you should be aware of this and take advantage of this. For those who are involved in manufacturing, we are going to develop 5 industrial parks this financial year, and our aim is to develop 22 in the next 5 years. But we believe that small medium enterprises, you need affirmative action. So in each industrial park, we will have space for you, small medium enterprises who are involved in manufacturing, specifically reserved for you to take advantage of it, and therefore you don't have to pay money to buy land to put up a factory or I thought that one deserves a much bigger one because so that really you don't have to struggle looking for land where to put your small factory. So that is point number 2, what we are doing. There are those also small ones, businesses, who want little sources, and therefore we have put another program, initiative of Emyoga. Country rep, this might look small, but there are those small companies that are benefiting from it. Small organizations, people are involved in salons, welding, and we have put money, over 300 billion in Emyoga, and we are continuing to put more money for the next 5 years so that you can access. Now, one of the challenges that we have been hearing about is you satisfying your products, especially those who are involved in manufacturing. Please, we want to listen to you, because when we speak with UNBS, we get a different picture. They say as long as you have all the requirements that they need, they should not take more than a month to satisfy your products. So we want to urge you, small and medium enterprises, please look at the requirements. Government, UNBS, will be ready to quicken the process so that the products we're involved in are satisfied. There's the issue of access to markets. The government, led by President Yoweri Museveni, we have negotiated markets. The markets are there. If we begin with the regional market, a market of now 400 million people, and will be growing in the next 20 years to 886 million people, because we have now added DRC. This market is there. If we also talk about the market of Africa Financial Free Trade Area, a population of 1.2 billion, and in the next 20 years, we'll add another 1.3 billion to come to 2.5 billion Africans on the continent. But what is also very, very, very unique, which I want you, small and medium enterprise, to understand, is that we have and we are supporting a policy of import substitution and export promotion. The reason we have this strategy in place, import substitution and export promotion, is because it is a proxy for the purchasing power of our people. Look at the continent. We have importation of goods worth 547 billion. Africans import 547 billion US dollars worth of goods, and yet most of the goods that we're importing, we have the raw materials to make them. For example, if you talk about, I can see ladies around the room putting on a number of, including our country rep, beautiful jewelry and all that. But we have gold worth 12.8 trillion US dollars. Imagine, 12.8 trillion US dollars. Meaning that with our annual budget of 12 billion, with the reserve of gold alone, we can finance our budget for the next 1,000 years if this resource was fully developed. We have reserves of steel, of iron ore in the region where I come from that can take us for the next 5 years. And yet we're importing steel worth 300 million US dollars every year. So we want you to study the imports. We want to study the imports and see what you can do to produce and therefore get the market that Ugandans are spending money on through the imports that we are purchasing. So this is one way of looking at the market. What are we importing as Ugandans? What are we importing as Africans? Because that creates market for you. And we have even gone ahead to say, if you can produce something that we're importing, government will support you by putting taxes on the things that we're importing if you are manufacturing them here, so that we, in a way, use policy action to protect your business. So if you try and produce something that we're importing, government will do their part to put a tax that will protect you. We have done that with the tires that are now being produced in Akaseke, and we continue to do that. We have negotiated a market, European Union market, quota-free, duty-free, anything but guns. Country rep, I don't know whether the issue of guns is still standing, but anything but guns in Europe you can take there. We have AGOA, which we negotiated 11 years ago. I don't know, I think it's even more than 11 years, because we negotiated it when Bill Clinton was a president. Isn't it now 20 years? They gave us access of 6,400 items to export to America, duty-free and quota-free, meaning that you can export anything without paying tax, and you can export any amount in terms of quantity. But out of 6,400, we are only exporting 30 items. So don't despise what we are doing. You can actually start small and grow, because most of these companies started small. I always like the model of Indians. One family starts with a shop, the next generation goes into a supermarket, a shopping mall, the next one goes into manufacturing. So I want to encourage Ugandans, especially those who are involved in small and medium enterprises, to use this day as we celebrate the International Day for Small and Medium Enterprises to reflect on what we can do to really expand our businesses and take advantage of the markets that we have. European Union, African Free Trade Area, East African Community, AGOA on the American continent. And sometimes some of our friends ask us, I had a friend from Europe who said, but you people, why do you always take a lot of time to negotiate these documents? And when the markets are ready, you don't take advantage of them. They think that we have a problem there. Why do we? But we say, yes, as government, we are negotiating for our people. But government, we are not in business. It's you, the small, medium enterprises and large companies that will take advantage of the markets that the government has negotiated for you. So we are negotiating these markets for you because government, we are not in business. Our business is to create an environment to support you. Our business is to get access to get markets for you, and the markets are there. Just next door, we have a market close to $3 billion US dollars in DRC Congo. Currently, we are exporting, I think, 520 million US dollars, even without roads, that's the reason why we have to invest in the roads so that we can take advantage of that market. But we want people who can produce and export. Now, one of the challenges that we continue to see with small and medium enterprises is management. You want to manage, you don't want to put structures in place. You have sometimes URA says you have different books of accounts. You have accounts for the bank, you have accounts for yourself, you have accounts for... Please build capacity for management of your small business. Businesses grow from small to big, and I want to believe that today you are small, but tomorrow you should be able to be big. Government is doing all we can to ensure that we support you. So those are the reflections I had on this day, that we are here as government to create a good environment for you to do your business, that we know the challenges you have gone through for the last 2 years during COVID and now the war. We hope that you have learned some lessons. The capacity to adopt change, the capacity to diversify. Don't be stuck in one line of business, because COVID has taught us that that doesn't work. Our sister was talking about wheat. Yes, it's unfortunate that currently we're importing wheat close to 620 billion Uganda shillings. And yet we can grow. We are exploring areas like Kapchogwa, whether this can be done to help the issue of wheat. But as His Excellency has said, and when he said it, I think many people welcome the idea that also we have alternatives, because the wheat we're importing is to do mainly bread. But we can get bread in some of these other products, including cassava, including wheat. So you have all these opportunities. So we encourage also innovation so that you can see what can you do to take advantage of the situation we are in so that you can grow your business. I am always a man of few words, and I like figures. All my figures are in my head. That's why they are not written anywhere, because every day I'm always reading about these things. I know the frustration of having a strategy, and I've told our officers that we need to work on this strategy. But even without a strategy, Madam Country Rep, all we need is produce something and take it to Congo, take it to DRC, take it to Liberia. You don't have to wait for a government strategy to produce something and take it there. We can work on the document as we move along, because the document that was very important was the agreement that we can now export our things across the continent. The conditions are there, and the terms which are favorable for all of us. So that's what we need to do. So with these few words, it's my honor to open this discussion during the international celebration of the Day of Small and Medium Enterprises. are open. And I'm also supposed to launch something. I don't know whether it is ready. COVID had done us some savings in terms of, but the business people were complaining, but most of these things we are doing them virtually, and it was actually working very well. Now we have come back to hotels, workshops and all that, but virtually we are doing them, we just click and it's open from your house. Now I don't know what
If I could invite our Honorable Representative, Your Excellency, please come join the Minister on stage. Also, Chief of Party. And Under Secretary, please join us as well on stage. No, that's fine. So you will join me, and we count down from 3, and then this will be cut. In 3, 1. So that is it. And I would now like to hand over a marker for you all to please sign. Okay, thank you very much. Before you sit, Honorable, there are some documents of registration that would like you to help us hand over. Thank you very much.
The enterprises who are founder members.
They are suggesting that the founder members should be going to be given their documents.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, friends, the numbers are coming up again. We need to continue being very careful. I went to the village and Madam, what woman looked at him and said, what are you seeing? I said, what is the problem? He said, why are you putting on your mask? Things have changed, but we hope that the numbers will come down. So why can't we read them and they receive them? Is that
Yeah.
read the names and they receive them when we are.
We shall start with the founder, the interim chairman, to please come and receive this certificate. Mr. There.
Behind you. Behind you there's a marker.
Yes.
Uganda Women Enterprise.
Uganda Women Enterprise.
Uganda Women Enterprise Association. Then you go to the next.
Uganda Tailors Association, Uganda Rice Millers Council,
Uganda
Uganda chapter, that is what? Confederation of Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises.
Uganda chapter of Confederation of Micro Small Enterprises, AfriPoint, Uganda Chamber of Commerce of SMEs, 10.
They're about.
Yeah.
NAC.
NAC, USSIA, Uganda Hair and Beauty Alliance, Water Governance Institute. Get the chairs ready.
Please introduce yourself to the news. Introduce yourself to the news.
After this, we shall have a quick group photo, and then we will have a tea break for about 15 minutes. Okay, thank you. So let's quickly have a group photograph. Your Excellency and Honorable, please have a seat. The rest of us, please stand behind them. Thank you very much. So we have a 15-minute tea break. Tea is served outside this hall right there. You will see it. We will be back here in exactly 15 to 20 minutes. Please exchange business cards, get to know one another, and we'll be back here to continue the mid-morning session very briefly. Thank you.
Smart 24, driving business.